For over 65 years, the 30-acre Eastern Coachworks factory in Lowestoft was a landmark in the county. From the drawing board to the finishing touches, nearly every bit of the bus was built here in the workshops at Eastern Way. ECW was a major employer for generations of local skilled men and women.
Well, just like a family. I mean, there was over 1,000, well, at one time there was 1,200 people working there, and everybody knew everybody else.
That comradeship is still going strong. And when we arranged for a showing of the film Stanley had made about the coachworks, there was a big turnout of ex-workers. Among them was retired trimmer Wilfred Sutton.
I worked in the coachworks before the war as well, but with all the people I've met in my life, and there's quite a few, they were the greatest. And they were ordinary people, although I would never admit the pride that they had. They're very proud of what they did.
The whole labour force was well motivated, well trained, interested in their work. We had an excellent reputation.
Buses were built on a production line with each gang of workers performing a specific job. When Keith Lewis started in the body shop in the 40s, working conditions were pretty basic.
If you worked on a double deck and you had to get up to the roof, you had this 15-foot trestle with a plank the whole length of the body, and you actually worked on that, no hands holding on, and that would bounce up and down, and you'd be working up and down, bouncing with it. And sometimes the planks would collapse. They'd just collapse, and you'd be hanging on the waist rail, top deck, hanging on with your hands.
It took 10 to 12 days to complete an entire bus. And in the old days, it was all hands on deck in the body shop to assemble the main panels, internal floors, and the roof.
The manual lifting was labour intensive. There would be a command. When you lifted a side or an intermediate roof ply, "Are you ready, lads? Hay up," and that would be that.
But the heavy work done by Albert and his gang was to change. When the company became part of British Leyland in the 70s, a new gantry was installed which eliminated the need for so many men and so much muscle.
When the electric hoists were introduced, that removed the potential of back injury and various other injuries. So the work was that much easier.
I think I enjoyed the old times better. You knew you were really putting your heart and soul into making something then.
But they weren't all good old days in the department that fitted the upholstery. The work of the trimmer meant holding tacks in the mouth. Electrician and trade union representative Gerald Vincent remembers the struggle involved in trying to improve working practices.
We had a dispute at the company because it was such a terrible thing with these iron tacks all in the mouth. They had ulcers, all sorts of things in them. And we strove so hard to get rivet guns.
But we eventually got the staple guns. They're much better, except I stapled my knuckle together once when the staple gun went off and pin went in there, but that was all right.
Up to 18 top-quality vehicles a week left the workshops, and in their heyday, Eastern Coachworks had a full order book, high productivity and optimism for the future.
When you saw a job going out the front finishing shop, all sparkly, chrome finish, excellent paintwork, you had work satisfaction and pride in your job.
But in 1986, it was a different story. In July, workers were told they would be going home for good. The factory was to close.
Well, I was one of the oldest members of the finishing shop and was retained until the final day. And eventually the last vehicle was prepared for delivery, and quite a few people turned up, and we all said goodbye to the last vehicle. We all felt rather down in the mouth, so to speak. The building stood empty for several weeks. Vandals moved in and a lot of the glass windows were smashed. And then eventually the bulldozers moved in and the place was demolished.
To see it flat was such a sad day. I felt that the company, to me, had been so much. I didn't know how to repay them for employing me for all my life. That was the feeling, which was saying something really.
It was a blow to the town. So many people worked there, spent their lives there, and it was another important industry in Lowestoft that had gone for good.